Molly May did something very similar where she bought back the rights of her tan brand from the third party company that did hers.
So that third party company got in contact with me.
Yeah, I know them too, actually.
But they wanted me to white label, and I'd never white label a product. Never going to get someone else's formula and put my name on it. For me, I was like, I want to do my own formula. I want to do it from scratch and put my experience into a product and believe in the product. I don't want to take someone else's and put my name on it. That wasn't about me.
I'm really excited to have Sophie Hannah. You may know as an influencer. She's done across beauty, fashion, and she is the owner of Sophie Hannah Hair. Hello, darling. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you.
I'm good. Welcome to Managed.
Thanks.
So I think you're our first episode since we took a hiatus.
Amazing.
As we were talking about before, how busy life is.
Yeah.
And yours has obviously got a lot busier. So for anyone who doesn't know you, you are a beauty influencer turned entrepreneur. And for anyone who doesn't know, Sophie Hannah Hair is what I put in my hair midway through the month to keep it bright. It's a bit multi-tonal at the moment though, because I've just come back from holiday. But
need to top it up. I'll send you some.
I've already got some.
Oh, you need to do it.
I know. I keep on top of it. But so let's go through how you started. Yeah. So you started at 23?
Yeah.
23. You're now 32.
Yeah.
So you are technically the OG beauty influencer.
Yeah. I feel like I've been in it from when Zoella was kind of her era of people. Yeah, I've been in it for so long, and it's crazy how much the industry has changed.
What would you say the biggest change you've seen, especially since, I feel like even when you started, it wasn't really a massive thing.
No. Like, I remember a lot of people when I started, no one really had millions of followers back then. We were kind of all in the, 100,000 kind of range. Apart from obviously YouTube. YouTube is like huge, but on Instagram, I feel like no one really had like over 1 million in the UK anyway. And then it's kind of just grown from there really. And like, I mean, I've been around since the days of like Sarah Ashcroft when she started, CC when she started, like I've been around for years, all of us. And it's amazing that we've all kind of grown together and to see where we've all kind of gone off to.
Well, it's interesting because actually out of the two people you just said, obviously Sarah Ashcroft and CC Clark, they also have launched their own businesses. Yeah. So it feels like there is a bit of a trend of, starting from like YouTube, becoming, very well known, and then obviously using your platform to almost like cross-pollinate into your own brand
100%.
Or something that people, and know you for. If you look at your hair now, it doesn't quite look like it blends into the crowd.
I don't think it ever has.
But you obviously, I actually watched your hair transformation journey. So I found you actually through Instagram.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like I'm like an old school kind of person because I've never really been into the YouTube.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just feel like I like short form.
Yeah, me too, to be fair.
Yeah, and I think you love long form and you really want to watch it and you spend an hour watching someone get ready. Yeah. Or I really like watching like the quick transitions. And,
100%.
And yours, you make everything look quite easy. But I know that some of your like very dramatic looks, I know you I think something that was a really big thing for you was Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween, yeah. That's like one of my biggest months in terms of like in the year really. Like I've really focused on like festivals and Halloween. So I do Sophie Hannaween.
I have that written down.
Yeah. I don't know why, it just came to me and I was like, this is literally perfect. So that's my hashtag that I use. But it's funny because I've only really properly done Halloween in the last, so I started it properly in 2021, where I kind of did a whole month of Halloween looks. Whereas before I kind of did the odd look here and there, but I never dedicated the whole month to Halloween.
How much time do you think you spent getting ready?
Across
that month, because that's a lot of content.
Yeah. So last year because before I kind of did a mix of makeup, hair, and fashion for Halloween. But last year I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do makeup because I feel like I enjoy that the most, and I just thought I'd have a bit more fun with it. So I did 15 looks last year. It took me 11 hours to shoot Vecna from Stranger Things. That was the longest look I did. The shortest look was probably. I did Tafiti from Moana. That took about 4 hours. But I reckon if I wasn't filming, I could have done that in about 2 hours. But when I'm shooting, I like storyboard the content. I basically go in my notes on my phone and I write a list of all like the shots that I want to get, what TikTok sounds I'm going to use. and I kind of storyboard it out, and then I tick it off each time I do that.
So you
shot.
have like a real process.
Yeah, have a process, because I wouldn't be able to just wing it. Like a lot of people film on the TikTok app, and I wish I wouldn't be able to do that. I like to do a lot of different takes, so that when I go into editing after I'm Final Cut Pro, I can sit down and be like, right, because I'm doing transitions. Imagine if I just didn't quite get it on point in the TikTok video. And I know obviously you can go on TikTok now and like cut it on there, but also the quality. When I'm spending hours doing the looks, I want the quality to be really good. So I use my DSLR camera for it, and then I edit in Final Cut Pro. But it just makes it so much easier, and I can make sure the video is like slick with all the transitions that way.
Do you think it affects the algorithm? Because I had heard through the grapevine a few times that when you don't film on your phone, that the algorithm essentially sort of pulls you back down and you get less views.
I've heard this, but I have to disagree, because in Halloween...
because she get lots of views.
Yeah, literally. My engagement in Halloween, I'm using my DSLR camera, and it's crazy, the engagement. But also I've started noticing a few TikTokers now. So like Jordan Lipscomb, I know she shoots on a camera because the background's slightly blurred. The quality is really high definition. So I know she shoots on a camera. Also Sammy, is it Sammy JF? Remember her surname. She does fashion, and she shoots on, I think, like a G7X or something. She shoots on a camera. Again, you can tell in her footage, and her content does so well. She's got over like 1 million followers.
It's almost like this like clean go aesthetic. It's like the high end cameras, isn't it? It's like, but taking it back to your process, have you always had a process since like the day you started, or is it something that you've learned because you've maybe had mistakes along the way? I think it's something quite interesting for especially people trying to come into the industry now, where it's so oversaturated.
It's so saturated.
Like how you really stand out. And I do think when people, you can see the people who've put time, effort, and planning into content. And not just gone, oh, I look pretty today.
Yeah, no, I've always planned my stuff. Like, I mean, I'm old school in that I have a diary and I write. I know. People have like calendars on their phone, and I'm trying to get into that with like my day-to-day, like key dates in my calendar. But in my diary, I literally have a diary and I write what I'm posting on Instagram and TikTok for like the next 2 weeks. And I kind of do that every 2 weeks. I sit down like, right, what content am I going to do? What ads have I got? I slot them in. And so there's a bit of a strategy behind it. Obviously, it's hard for me because I do a bit of everything. So I do like fashion, makeup, hair. So I've got to make sure I balance out the content over like across all my channels. Because obviously I don't want to just focus on one piece of content, because I have followers that follow me for each different like piece of content. So like some people just follow me for hair. So if I didn't do hair for a month, they'd be like, what the hell's going on? Like, where's your hair tutorial? So I've got to make sure I'm accommodating all of the different avenues that I do.
That's really nice to hear that obviously you put your followers kind of as the forefront of everything you're doing.
Yeah, 100%. And do you know what? I've always done that, and that's why I have got to where I've got to, because the reason I grew, like back in the day, I started posting outfits of the day every day. I mean, if you scroll back, you'll see some like horrendous mirror selfies. That's how I used to do it. Like that's how
sounds like what I post now.
No, they were weird. They were like a grid post. It would be like a close up of like my shoes and a close up of like my jewelry, and then like a full length shot. And it's
Did you put like white borders around?
Yeah, exactly. It's like stuff like that. And then I'd put that in a blog post, and then I'd write about my outfit and like how I've styled it, what pieces, how much it is and everything. So
that's so old school, the writing of the blog.
And I remember I'd do it before I went to work, and on the bus, I'd write the blog post and then post it on the bus journey to work. Like that's how I kind of got started. And then I noticed that people were commenting about my hair and my makeup on Instagram. And so I'd be like, oh, someone's asked me how I did my makeup. I'm just going to show them. So every time someone asked me something, kind of a bit like how TikTok is now, you know, if someone comments and you can reply to a comment.
Yeah.
I basically was doing that back in the day. And
so TikTok stole your idea.
Yeah, literally. Need some royalties for that. And that's kind of how I started. So I was like giving my followers what they wanted to know. I was like showing them hair tutorials, hair tips and tricks, makeup looks. And then I started introducing video. And then like Huda Beauty. So she still does it now a bit, but I wouldn't say she's most known for it now. But back in the day, she had one of those platforms that she reposted different people on, like different content creators.
Oh yeah, she did used to do that.
Yeah, she does still do it now, but I don't think people really follow it as much. And also, if she did repost you, you're not going to grow as much as you did back in the day.
Yeah.
She'd repost me and I'd instantly go up 30,000 followers on Instagram. So she's actually like, obviously grateful to her for doing it, because she's kind of the reason why I managed to reach 100k on Instagram, was because she reposted 3 of my hair tutorials.
Oh, amazing.
And I just went crazy, and I just suddenly hit 100k, and I was like, wow, I think I could actually do this full time. I know, because I was working in social media and I knew how much influencers were charging, and they had less followers than me. So I was like, actually, do you know what? I reckon I could do this. I've got a bit of money behind me. I'm going to quit my job, see how I go for 3 months, and just go with that. And it's been 7 years now.
What was your social media job?
So I worked so they were called, I think they're called Be the Communications Agency.
Oh,
now.
I do know who they are, yeah.
So as a social media manager, and I managed.
Oh, you must have known everything about what influencers are charging.
Yeah,
then.
literally. So because I was doing campaigns for my clients, and I had fashion, beauty, wellness, fitness clients. I was managing their Pinterest, their Twitter, their Facebook, their Instagram. I was creating all the content. There was like 3 of us on the team. So really small. We had like 20 clients. It was crazy. But in the end, I was at work and I was thinking about my own stuff. And I was like, I kind of feel like this isn't right anymore. I kind of want to go off and do my own thing. So then I left. That was 7 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you've been on a big journey. I think actually one of the things that I find really interesting about you and your success, and it is always going to be controversial as I am a manager, is that you are self-managed.
Yes.
So I think this is like always an interesting conversation, because I genuinely obviously believe that people should have management.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have a career otherwise.
Yeah.
But, you know, I also do believe that some people very much do need management, because they need that, you know, that kind of push forward. They need that strategy. And obviously you are quite self-motivated. So I think for you, it makes the most sense that you manage yourself. So you obviously work with your husband as well. So there is like, I guess, a mini Sophie Hannah team right, in place.
Just us two. Just me and my husband.
Well, that's how I started. Just me and one person.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
And,
yeah,
you know, 2 people can do a lot.
Yeah.
And so, what was were you ever managed?
So when I left Be the Communications Agency, they then launched a talent side of the business.
Called like some other agents.
So so it was called Be Talent back in the day, and then they rebranded to This Is Summer. So I was managed by them because obviously I worked with these people. They were my friends. So I was with them for about 4 years. But then I just feel like I just wanted something else. Yeah. And I feel like I was in the industry, but I didn't have any relationships with anyone.
Yeah.
Like I was doing jobs with these people and I was meeting them for lunches and stuff, but I feel like that was it. It didn't go any further. So I think I just wanted to kind of have access to my emails, actually meet people, email them, and also kind of cut out the middleman, because I was finding it tricky managing my collaborations and having to, like, say I was shooting and then I'd be like, oh, actually not sure about this, or can I use this or say this? I'd have to go to my management and say, oh, could you contact this brand?
Yeah.
Wait for them to then have the time to email that brand, because they might be busy. And then that train of people has got to go through before it comes back to me. But I need an instant reply because I'm in the middle of filming. Whereas now I can have their brand's number. I've got them on speed dial. So if I am shooting, I can literally be like, oh, can I just check this? Brilliant, done. I can carry on. So it's just streamlined it a lot more for me. And like now it's given me access to like be able to build those relationships with the brands. And I'm quite lucky. The only thing that I struggle with managing myself is I don't have much time to pitch myself. And also it's very difficult to pitch yourself anyway. Like to be like, hello, you should work with me because I'm amazing. Like how do you pitch yourself, right? It's hard without coming across big-headed.
No, but that is actually a really good point, because it's not really ever happened. Well, it doesn't happen for me as such, but it's happened a couple of times where, you know, when I was trying to start out, like, you know, like getting HLD like known, like within the industry, and like I was like emailing people and I was like, oh, I don't want to have to say ask to come on your podcast or something like that. Like it's really awkward. So I kind of know that feeling, but it is hard because I know what we do and how we pitch, and we put like together like documents. Yeah. Imagine sending that of yourself. It is a bit like awkward. Yeah. But that's why you have to come up with like an info account that looks, and when I first began actually, and say for example, like some, I don't know if I should say this, but
oh, do you mean like it's you emailing?
It's me emailing pretending to be someone else.
No, that people do that. I know people do that.
I had to do, but I did that when I first started. if say someone, you know, wasn't happy to speak to me, or, you know, I've got very strong opinions, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was like even that. It was like something happened and I was like, oh, I feel so uncomfortable to go back to them. So I feel like I passed over to my colleague and it was me. And I just thought.
No, but sometimes it actually helps. I do find that it does help. And also then I feel like you're getting, someone's more honest with you if it's not you. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
You know, it is so difficult because I think also this game is all people, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If you catch someone on a bad mood and they're, you know, and they just really want to make life difficult, you know, it's nice to have a helping hand. Luckily, I've got a team now. I don't have to pretend to be someone else.
Yeah, yeah.
I really wish I could remember the name I gave myself as well.
Stop it. It's amazing.
It's so funny.
I'm kind of lucky now because I can use my husband.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So you can use your husband.
Sometimes I'll sign him off for something. If I feel like, I just don't know if I could like negotiate this under me. But to be fair, actually, negotiations for me, I feel like I'm fine with. I can negotiate it. And I know my worth. I know the quality of my content. I know the engagement. So, and I roughly know of other influencers' fees in the industry. So I don't ever feel like I'm asking too much or I'm overcharging or I'm overstepping the mark. I feel like I know my worth. I'm going to stand my ground.
You know what's interesting though, what you just saying about knowing your worth and your fees? We had Sedge Beswick on here, and she spoke.
I've got an interesting story about that.
Oh, we'll come back to that one. Then. But she was telling us about the fact that, you know, some managers, like, you know, when, especially because there's so many managements popping up now, like you must see it too, and everyone's probably trying to approach you.
Yeah,
and,
always.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's obviously a compliment, but also a lot of people don't necessarily have experience. And listen, I'm all for people giving it 100% because I probably didn't have that much experience.
Oh yeah, you've got to coach, haven't you? That's the only way to.
And I've learned, like, you know, in terms of when I say that, I mean, probably wasn't the best manager when I first started compared to what I'm like now, and the contacts I've got and the strategies behind me and knowing the team I've got, you know, it's completely different. So, and she was like, you know, when someone's experienced or not, Hannah, because essentially some people really go high on these prices and they are so, you know, and it puts them off. They won't work with that agency again because they're greedy. And, you know, I think, you know, there has to be knowing your worth and knowing your value, knowing your rebook rate, you know, but then there's also just being fucking greedy. And, you know, you actually can ruin things as a manager for your client by asking for way too much money.
Yeah, definitely. No, I agree. But also I've had like conversations with brands before where they actually like the fact that I don't have management. Yeah. Because it cuts out. It just makes it easy.
They don't.
No, but some brands, they just find it makes it easier. Yeah. The process is easier. They don't need to. I mean, I do think, you know, sometimes maybe it's a little bit easier because maybe they're not paying an agency fee. Maybe it is cheaper doing it through, because I know some agencies will add on.
We don't do that.
Yeah, some agencies obviously work like that, don't they? But I mean, I'm doing all right, like managing myself, and it's nice that I have my husband. So if I get emails come through where I'm a bit like, I don't really know how to reply to that. Like, he's got a way better vocab than I do. I'm from Essex. Like,
I think you present yourself very well, actually.
I've got the worst vocab. I've just not long words. It just doesn't come naturally to me.
You know, if there's ever like a really serious message I need to put together, I get someone to proof it and then like change it up for me.
Yeah, that's good.
Because I also sometimes especially if I feel a bit heated or I feel like someone's not being fair, I speak with my own tone. Like, it's very much this word to say, and then I'll go, right, I know this person's better at copy. I'd rather they just went through it all and then just like went, okay, reword this. But then I also do it for other people, because I think that's actually a really great thing about having more than one person, because actually, if you're in it, it's so hard to take yourself out of that bubble and relax.
Especially if like there's a collaboration that's like going wrong and you may need to like say something or you're not happy with something. Like, me and Robin will literally sit there and I'll be like, I've done this email, can you check it? Or let's sit together. I don't know how to word this email. Can we do it together? And we'll sit there and we kind of go back and forth. And he's great at putting sentences together and stuff. And so, we kind of like do it together. So it's nice to have someone, because before, so he only started working with me just before COVID. So he's been with me, 3 years now?
Is this your husband?
Yeah.
You've been together a lot longer than that though, right?
Yeah, so we've been together for 15 years.
I honestly remember I told you how shocked I was when I heard that, because I didn't know.
Yeah, and then obviously we've been working together now. I hate saying he works for me. We work together now.
He works for you, doesn't he?
No, we do it together. It's like teamwork. Honestly, I don't know where I'd be without him. He literally, even just like helping me with my mental health side of things and just like being there like doing house stuff, because I literally, it's so time consuming, this job. People don't realize like the amount of hours that you have to be switched on. And like, I kind of look after the dogs, but he'll kind of, I mean, they follow me everywhere and they sit with me when I film in my studio, but like he'll like take care of the house, do a few like life admin bits, but also obviously we'll talk about Sophie Hannah hair, but he also manages.
Yeah. Well, I spoke to him about this, didn't I? When we went for drinks.
Yeah.
He's actually crazy and I loved him. He's so funny.
When he's had a drink, yeah.
No, he was very funny. I really enjoyed it. So at what point did you think within your like influencer career, you were like, right, this is what people love me for. I'm going to start my own product.
Yeah.
And how did you, what were your next stages for that? Like, how did you create that?
So kind of going back to what we said earlier, like Sarah Ashcroft, Cece, like we kind of are all going along that journey now of we've kind of established ourselves. We're known for certain things. Like Cece's known for her lips. So she launched those lip products, right? Sarah Ashcroft Fashion, she launched a fashion brand. Like it all makes sense. So for me, I was like, I really want to take the next step. And as an influencer, I make money for so many other brands. Why don't I set up a brand so I can kind of make that money for myself, if that makes sense? Not that it's about money at all, because it's not the main reason why I started Sophie Hannah Hair. I just have been dyeing my hair for so many years, and there was always something that I didn't like about a product. So I've literally tried so many different hair dye brands, and I'd like I don't know, one thing about it, but I wouldn't like the fact that it's too runny, or I'd have another brand and like the smell would just be so off-putting of the dye.
Yeah.
But I'd like the
Burns
formula so I was like, do you know what? I've been dyeing my hair for over 10 years now with semi-permanent colours. I've tried so many on the market. I'm going to put my experience and knowledge into launching a hair dye company and create my own formula from what I don't like about other brands and do the opposite to make the perfect product, if that makes sense. So I worked with a third-party agency on that, and they did all like the design, the production, and everything for me. And I kind of was creative behind it. I worked with a cosmetic like scientist, a chemist, to do all the formula. We looked into like different ingredients and like, because I wanted the dye to not only dye your hair, obviously semi-permanent. I wanted it to be vegan, cruelty-free, but I also wanted it to have added ingredients so that, because the majority of people, when they dye their hair is bleached. They put some sort of chemical on it.
So it burns your hair.
Yeah, so like your hair's essentially, you're damaging it with bleach. So I wanted ingredients in it so that when someone was dyeing their hair with colour, it's also getting nourished, adding shine, repairing, strengthening at the same time. So the ingredients added in it is essentially a 2-in-1 hair colour and hair mask. And then also you can use it as a hair mask every week when you top up your hair colour.
Yeah.
So
you put it in the conditioner.
No, you don't need to, because it's a hair mask. I mean, you can if you want to dilute it down.
Can I say quickly, if I would come out like a traffic cone.
No,
like,
so it is written, the wild orange, even the red, like strawberry twist, it's so vibrant. So yeah, if you want to dilute it down, then 100% you can mix it with conditioner. But you can just put it straight on. I actually have ready and I really want to launch it. This is nothing, I need investment. So I'm looking for investment for Sophie Hannah Hair. But I have the formula with no colour. Oh, really? So then anyone can buy it and use it as a hair mask. But also you can dilute your colours down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's kind of opening it up to more people that maybe don't colour their hair but actually just want a really nice hair mask to use that's nourishing, strengthening, repairing with really great ingredients, and also it smells really nice too. So
yeah, do you know what? The only thing I really hate about ever having to like top up my hair, like in between, like with the salon, is I've got so bloody much of it.
Yeah,
it just takes me so long. Like I always feel like by the time I get finished with it, like I'm waiting 20 minutes, I'm like half of it's probably so bright underneath now. Like it's like, you know, but that's a long hair extension problem.
Yeah, or like if someone's got thick hair. But that's why obviously when your hair is damp, you can pop on Sophie Hannah Hair as like a mask. Yeah. And comb it through to like just keep it topped up.
It really does not still work for me like that way, because honestly I've got so much hair. I've had it when I first did it for the Brits. So interesting story.
You looked amazing at the Brits though.
Oh, thank you. I did. No, interesting story. So me and Sophie know each other because we have the same publicist, Lois, and she got me gifting from your range with the wild orange. And I remember it was like, right, I need to look at the Brits, and my hairdresser was out of town or whatever. And I was like, I don't have time to dye it. Like, I feel like my hair's falling apart. So I just did it at home, and I did my eyebrows. So I really saw the picture. It's so cool. No, honestly, I look hilarious. And like my towels, I ruined my towels because I was like so stressed.
Oh yeah, okay.
So I went into like panic mode. Like this is like a few hours before I was meant to be getting ready at the hotel. So you can imagine I was like in
panic, just like get the diet on.
I was like, I'm going to kill myself. Like what is going on? Put it on. And then when it came out, I was like, oh my God, it looks amazing. And it really did look incredible.
It looked really cool. That photo of you like walking
with Grace. Yeah. No, it was, my hair looked iconic. And then my hair just went, underneath there's a massive patch that you've missed. I was like, she was like, it's fine because no one would have seen it. And she's like lifting up your hair. Yeah. But I thought that was so fun. I was literally cracking up. I was like, how have I, and it's like in the middle of my head.
Oh my God. It's really hard though to like get it all.
It is hard. So you're obviously looking, you said you're looking for investment.
Yes.
What are your reasons for wanting investment?
So I left the third party agency that I was with in December 2022. So I started 2023 basically doing Sophie Hannah hair on my own. Mm-hmm. So my husband, Robin, he does the shipping for it. We call him Warehouse Wayne.
Warehouse Wayne.
Yeah. And he's in the warehouse shipping all the products. He does all the orders and deliveries. So that's what he does now. It's annoying because I've kind of lost him as my video editor now because he was editing my videos. But it's not too bad because a lot of it you shoot on TikTok now anyway. So so he does that. And then I basically work with the factory to do all the orders, restocking, working on formulas, sampling and everything, shipping it over. It's like a lot. But when I took
Is it tedious?
It's just a lot because I didn't realise when someone launches a brand for you, you don't realise what actually, how a brand evolves, and especially in cosmetics.
Yeah.
With all of the like regulations and the formulas, and you've got to like abide by all the cosmetic regulations in each different market that you sell in. So before I sold like globally, but I didn't know what happened in the back end. I assume I had all the certificates, but I don't know. So when I got it in-house, obviously I lost everything, so I had to start again. So I had to get all these different certificates. So at the moment, I can only sell within the UK because I haven't paid, because it costs money, obviously. You have to get different certificates for like EU and US. So I haven't paid for it yet.
What are the certificates for?
So basically what they do is called a responsible person. So basically in each different market, you have to have a responsible person that oversees all the cosmetic regulations in terms of formula, different ingredients within that market. Because in some markets, an ingredient might be banned.
Yeah, actually.
So they check that for you. And if you've launched or you are launching a product or you have launched a product and you've got your product in Europe, say randomly one day they were like, hydrolyzed quinoa is not allowed to be used in products. That's one of my ingredients. They'd be like, oh, Sophie, you're going to have to reformulate. You've got to take this out, or you can't sell in the EU anymore, blah, blah, blah. So they kind of oversee that and you pay for that service.
Okay. That makes sense. That's actually massive in America because Bloom Nutrition, we were talking to them about bringing things over here because they want to come over here. And they were saying that a lot of the ingredients they have in their stuff is illegal over here.
Yeah.
And it makes sense as to why their stuff tastes so nice, because in the UK ones taste awful. Like, the green powders.
Oh no, I haven't had them. So what? So they do sell in the UK, but they've changed.
They don't sell in the UK. So I got mine in America.
Okay.
And there's loads of things I got from America, like melatonin.
Yeah.
Even like the paracetamol and stuff are 10 times stronger. Knock me bloody out. Thank you.
Yeah.
But obviously our regulations are a lot different here. And they were saying that because they were saying they were trying to find this like new formula for the UK. And I didn't know there was just so much in it.
Yeah, I didn't know. I've just learned everything from Google this year. I've literally been on Google, like learning everything, speaking to so many different people. And it took me 6 months. So basically when I took on the brand in January, I started TikTok shop and I sold out of all my leftover stock in 3 weeks, which was crazy. I made more money in that 3 weeks than I ever made in a whole year with that third party agency. Which is why I was like, I'm so glad I took the brand in house. And but then I was out of stock for 6 months.
Yeah, you were out of stock for ages.
Out of stock for 6 months because I was doing all this in the back end and I couldn't say anything because I wasn't really sure like if I was ever going to be able to actually do all these things and be able to restock. Managed to restock because I've relaunched now, but annoyingly I can only afford to relaunch with 2 colours because again, I'm doing this, it's all self-funded. It's a very expensive venture doing cosmetics. Yeah. And I can only order a certain minimum quantity. I don't have millions of pounds to order huge quantities. So it's very slow at the moment, but I know that there's so much growth and I could definitely build it up, but I just need someone. I need a team of people So I want an investor, but that comes with a team of people that can come in and be like, right, let's do this, or like, let's get more colours stocked. I also want to distribute in the US, but I want it to be in the US so that they can get next day delivery. Because a lot of my followers are US based on TikTok and Instagram. So I want to be able to offer those followers next day delivery. I get messages from them all the time saying, when are you going to stock it in the US? And I stocked in the US with the third party agency, but again, so many people added to cart, and as soon as they saw the shipping costs, it's weighty, like my like the weight of it, like shipping that over. And then obviously you want to offer tracked so it doesn't get lost. It's costing way more than the product itself.
Yeah, and that is actually like an off put, but you know, it will come, you know, with time. But I do know the story with the third party agency. We won't go into it too deeply, but in terms of, for anyone who doesn't know, obviously when you know, as an influencer, a lot of influencers did start brands via, not this particular one, but there's so many.
There's loads now.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realise, you know, that's kind of how it works. You know, even I know Molly May did something very similar where she bought back the rights of her tan brand from the third party company that did hers.
So that third party company got in contact with me.
Yeah, I know them too, actually.
But they wanted me to white label, and I'd never white label a product. Never going to get someone else's formula and put my name on it. For me, I was like, I want to do my own formula. I want to do it from scratch and put my experience into a product and believe in the product. I don't want to take someone else's and put my name on it. That wasn't about me.
Something that I obviously experienced we launched brands with talent in the agency. And there's so much even I had to learn about, you know, what they're offering. You know, a lot of them would take a big percentage, I would say, and then what would happen is they'd still have to put this much amount forward of their own money. Yeah. And it was kind of a point of, just because you needed that upfront cash, it almost felt like a bad payday loan vibe. Yeah. Like it felt like a bad loan.
I had to put money up front and did
they take a percentage?
So it was like money up front and then a percentage of the profits. But the money up front, I went in and I said, this is the maximum. It ended up tripling.
And but
I didn't realise that until we were basically ready to launch. And at that point, I'm so involved. I'm like, I want this to work. I've put so much time into sampling and everything. I can't really back out of it now. Yeah. I mean, I could have done, but at the same time, I was so excited and passionate about it. I wanted to launch my product. So I was like, I found this extra money from somewhere. But also, I mean...
If for like an influencer who may be watching this and they want to start their own brand, would you advise a third party?
No.
How would
Let's just say I lost a lot of money.
How would, you know,
so no,
do you know what it is hard?
Do it by yourself.
I do know people who've had really good experiences too. And I do think, you know, I always want to be like very fair and say, I do know some really great third parties who, you know, even like with some of the podcasts I run, like I work with a third party production team and they're incredible. And, you know, I think when it comes to launching a brand, it's always going to be hard because it's your baby. Yeah. And, you know, and then all of a sudden you're giving out all this money. And I do think, you know, your experience of what you were just saying really reminds me of, you know, when you get a house extension and then all of a sudden the bill comes like 10 times more and you're like, how did that happen? I do think though influencers do need more help with those kind of deals and should have lawyers present and, you know, whoever else.
Obviously I manage myself. So
yeah, but again, I think that is a good bit of advice of having lawyers, because honestly, if there was a bit in that contract that stated that they could do that and not run it past you, you have no 100%. Backing.
Yeah, definitely. No, I agree.
But now you're on your own and it actually that is incredible. Like I can vouch your product and I'm not just saying it, I do use it a lot. And you do know I do. I always tell you.
What's frustrating is I know the product is good. The reviews that I get from people, and like I even was at an event the other day and a hairstylist who's obviously been in the industry for years came up to me and loved my product. Like the amount of hair products that they use, I was literally like, oh my God, like that meant a lot to me from like coming from someone that's actually, you know, qualified in the industry and uses other incredible professional brands. That's amazing for me. So like, I know it's good. It's just because I've had this experience with a third party and I've lost loads of money, I can't invest any more of my own now. Yeah. So it's like, to make this work, it's upsetting because I mean, it is what it is. You've got to live and learn from all these different experiences. But if I did it myself and and started again, I would have done it so much more differently.
Yeah.
Because I would have managed the finances and I would have made sure that the profit margins were big enough to be able to do it. The profit margins
were
overlooked, let me say that.
Yeah.
But overlooked.
You know, honestly, and even not going through like third parties and whatnot, you know, I remember when I started the studio, I really rushed that decision. I never planned it the way I should have done it. And it's always the advice I give people is, you know, I know that I'm very like, if I want it, I got it, right?
Yeah.
That is like my mentality.
Yeah.
Like, and I will just roll with it. And I think sometimes these lessons are really put there to really teach something, because I spent so much trying to build this studio I had. You know, I bought cheap shit and I bought, you know, I had these like little rooms, and I spent so much money that it actually, when I look back, it really makes me upset with myself. And now it's doing really well, but it took us probably 2 years before we even got to a point of profitability. And now it absolutely flies.
Yeah,
but
you've got to get through that hard bit, which
Yeah.
is really hard, like it's a
only when
struggle.
you sit there and really plan it and go, right, this is where this is going wrong. This is where we're burning money. And, you know, obviously it was my money, because we weren't doing it via this at the time. It was like my studio that I wanted to do. And it was painful, to say the least. And now it's doing well though, so I wouldn't win.
No, that's amazing. It is hard starting a brand, but I think shop around. If you do want to go to like an agency, definitely shop around to speak to a few, because I mean, just check out for any red flags, I guess.
Yeah. What would you say are the top 3 things to look out for if you were to start your own brand again?
Ooh, I mean, number one, you got to get the finances right. The profit margins have got to be there. But I think for me, the profit margins were overlooked with the third party. They didn't accommodate for cost of the product, like cost per unit, shipping it over to the UK, then fulfilling it, the orders, packaging and all of that. It wasn't all kind of housed under one cost. So it's like, I think just do your research, make sure you know exactly what the costs are, from like production, from sampling, from like literally starting with an idea to getting the product into a customer's hand. What are all those costs? Because the profit has got to accommodate, like the profit has got to accommodate all of that, and then you want to make more on top, obviously. Otherwise, you're never going to grow.
Yeah, you never. And although I know you said it's not all about money, you do need money to run a business.
This is what I mean. Literally, I keep saying to my husband, like, I've not done this for money. Like, I don't care about money. And he's like, Soph, but there's no point in you doing this if it's not making money. And I'm like, yeah you are so right.
It is, because it's not a charity. Do you know what I mean?
No, it's not. That's the thing. Otherwise, I'm literally like giving. I mean, I was practically giving hair dye away, like when I was with the third party agency. I was like, here you go, take it. I wasn't making anything.
Oh God.
But I'm making money now. I'm doing it myself, which is great. But it's obviously annoying because that money to invest is not really there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's just slow. But I mean, on a positive note, I got nominated for 2 Great British Entrepreneur Awards, which is really exciting. Yeah, thanks.
I did see that, by the way.
Thanks. Yeah, so I'm going to the award ceremony in November. I mean, I was shocked that I got nominated for 1, let alone 2. I think it was a Retailer of the Year and Maker and Creator of the Year for East Anglia. So there's like me and I think 4 other brands that are up for the nomination.
You know the other brands?
One of them's like a cocktail brand.
Oh, interesting.
One of them's a jewelry brand, and which is really weird because we followed each other on Twitter for years.
Oh, really?
And I messaged her like, oh my God, you're nominated too. But basically, to apply, you had to basically write. They asked you questions and you had to write kind of like a bit of a proposal to them. So it was about you, about your brand, and obviously like anything that's gone wrong, how you've tackled it. So basically just said everything, like what I've also spoken to you about, you know, third party agency. Now I'm doing it myself. And I wrote this massive thing. I was actually quite proud of like what I put together. And then obviously, got nominated from that. So,
oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, so.
So you're not only just nominated for awards, but the last thing I'm going to talk about is the fact that you're now an author.
I know, yeah, that's crazy.
You really are doing it all.
I don't know how I managed to do that last year, to be honest, on top of like
honestly,
Sophie
I don't know how like you've done
and I was
so
going to so
much.
many festivals as well.
Yeah, literally, you literally like living your best life. You're creating content that takes 15 bloody hours.
I know.
And then you're writing a book.
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know about your book, can you give us like a little elevator pitch?
Okay, so it's called Beauty Hair Style, the new No Rules Beauty Bible. And it literally is a Bible of, you've got a section on makeup, a section on hair, and a section on style. So I go into everything like tips, tricks, favorite products, I share like sustainable, affordable products, high-end products. So anyone that's reading it, whatever your budget, you'll be able to get a product that's inspired by one of the looks in my book or something. Hair, again, I go into how to build like a hair care routine, checking different things in your hair, like the porosity, the elasticity, obviously hair color, lots of like hair dye inspiration in there. I mean, I've literally dyed my hair like split hair, rainbow hair, you name it. Money pieces, like ideas on how to dye your hair at home.
Have you put the feather trick in there?
No, because I did that this year.
We were talking about the feather trick last time, and then you did a rainbow one.
Looks so oh my God, it actually works so well. Works really well.
It did look good.
And then fashion, just kind of how to shop sustainably, how to build like your wardrobe, how to like introduce color into like your makeup, into your wardrobe. So it's a bit of a Bible, bit of inspiration in there. There's lots of different looks. So like I've done, if you want some hair ideas, there's like hair step-by-step looks. There's like the finished look and then a guide of like how to create it. Actually, my cousin-in-law bought the book for her daughter. She's 8. And she was like, oh my gosh, she just created bubble braids by herself reading your tutorial. So I was like, that's actually amazing that an 8-year-old understood my step-by-step.
It means it's an effective step
Exactly.
by step.
And then she sent me a picture with the bubble braids. And I was like, that is so cute. Yeah, they looked amazing. And then actually last night, Dolly from Glow Up, she's like, I've never met you before. I just want to say like, I love your stuff. She's like, can I just take 5 minutes of your time? And I was like, yeah, of course. She's like, my daughter absolutely loves you. I bought her your book and she's doing all your makeup looks. And I was like, that's so cute. Because I never really thought that my book would be targeted at children.
Yeah.
But actually, a lot of children are picking it up and getting really inspired by it and creating different makeup looks or trying out the hair looks, which is great. But it's definitely targeted at somebody that maybe doesn't quite know how to, or doesn't feel confident doing their makeup, or like doesn't know where to go with it, or wants to wear colour but feels a little bit shy, doesn't really know where to start. So it's just going to give you the confidence to kind of like express yourself whichever way you want to do, whether that's through hair, makeup or fashion.
Yeah, I think, do you know what that's so amazing about that too, is about like the children's side, because also I know more parents are trying to protect children from online.
Yes.
And, like TikTok and Instagram. And I know there's like a 13 limit, but honestly, like you hear some crazy stories about online. And, I see these TikTok live things. I don't really understand them, like the lives where people send people money. And
no, I don't
like
get
how crazy things.
Yeah.
And then you hear like some TikTok creators having a beef with someone else. And I'm like, I don't understand it. So you do want to protect your children from things like that.
I never thought of it that way, actually.
So, I used to get like books and things like, well, I was weird. I had like ancient Egyptian books, but
oh my God, amazing.
But I used to follow my makeup tutorials from like people from Towie.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't know if you know the old Towie, but like it was like big brown up here, like pretty diabolical. So, but I think you allow people to be creative and feel confident, and I think that's something that we're like almost like lost in the world, where everyone's trying to be the next Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, it's really nice actually. Even just like my feed and like my Instagram and TikTok, like I get so many messages from people just saying like, thank you so much. Like you give me so much confidence to like even like just dye their hair. Like, and then they've dyed their hair and they feel incredible. And like, they were like, would never have done this if I hadn't been inspired, or you'd give me the confidence, which is crazy because like, I've never really known why people follow me. Like, I'm just like, I
followed you for a long time.
I never really know why. So it's like nice to get those messages because I'm like, oh, okay, like that's kind of the effect that I'm having, which is great, really.
And also some people just really enjoy watching, creative. Like I love watching your transitions.
Yeah.
Like they do look so cool. And it's like quite, it's like soothing. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
That's sounding creepy. Like I said, I like short form. I have to watch through it like little reels. So how I like to round out the podcast is with a last question.
Cool.
And I actually think you're not going to know how to answer this one because you're so busy. Like you are, I think I'm pretty busy, but yours is more creative busy, which I think is harder. If there's one part of your life that you could manage differently or more effectively, which part would it be?
Ooh. Oh God. Probably like managing my time.
Time management.
As in like, I would love to be able to be like, right, I'm doing this many hours for work.
Yeah.
And then this many hours is for me, my mental health, and just to like do whatever I want to do. Hobby, go to the gym or whatever. I feel like I'm 100% work.
Yeah.
And it slacks, because I'm so busy, it slacks on like me and my mental health.
Yeah.
So like I really want to try and prioritize more of that, because obviously life is not about work.
Well, unfortunately for me, but
no, it is for it is for me too.
Yeah,
but
I do know. Everyone says the deathbed thing. You get to your deathbed, your work won't be there. I'm thinking mine probably will, but
you've got a contract next to you.
I know. No, it'd be someone making me sign over my will. But it's interesting, actually, that last point of, obviously your husband works with you now. How do you two differentiate working relationship and romance? 15 years is a long time as well.
That is hard. I feel like we're better when we go on holiday.
So the secret is holidays.
Holidays take time out. Because even when we go on dog walks, we're going on a dog walk and...
You talk about work.
And actually, do you know what? It was so nice. When we went to Tomorrowland Festival, we got back and I was like, oh my God, we didn't talk about work once. And we were like, oh wow, no, we didn't. And we hadn't done that in ages. Because it's always like having Sophie Hannah hair, like it's just consuming both of our lives at the moment. And then it's like if an order goes missing or a customer service email and it's like, oh, Rowan, this has gone wrong. Or can you, like, it's just, it's work stuff. I mean, bless him, he's amazing with it. But yeah, it's a lot sometimes. So it is nice when we go away to kind of just like detox. But I need that as well. Because like when you work from home, you associate your house with work.
That's why I don't like working from home. So, I like being in the office.
I would like the concept of having an office, but I wouldn't like to feel like I need to get up at a certain time to go to the office. And like my dogs are more comfortable at home. It'd be a nightmare trying to take them with me. So it is good working from home. It's got its pros and cons, but everything has, isn't it?
It's very true. It's very true. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
It's been really fascinating, honestly. Like all your different sides of the business. I really love seeing creators do more than just create content. And you should be really proud of how much you've achieved.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Managed. If you loved watching, please make sure you're following us so you can receive updates on our next episode. I'll see you next week.